Hey there, and welcome to the podcast, Whether or Not and to What Degree. And we are the Fox Carolina Weather Team, all four together, which is a rare thing these days, especially with COVID. It's hard for all of us to come together unless there's an extreme weather event or anything like that. But great to be with all of you guys virtually, a couple of us at home and a couple in studio. And we're doing this podcast all together because it is going to be Weather Awareness Week. Next week, we're looking ahead to that, doing a bunch of stories, getting folks prepared, especially after such a wild and really just terrible severe weather season last season. But before we get to all that, just a quick welcome to Kylee and Bob. So happy to have you guys on the team. Nicole and I are thrilled to have all four of us together as we go into what can be a pretty crazy couple of months ahead. We had a intense April back in 2020, a lot of tornadoes, and I know that we've all been working hard to get all of that information together for folks. But first off, Kylee, I know you are the most recent one to join the team. How have you liked the upstate so far?
I love it here. Everyone is so nice and friendly, not just at Fox Carolina, but just in the community. And I love the weather here. I'm coming from snow and where it's like 20 degrees pretty much all the time for the high temperature. And finally, we have temperatures in the 60s and 70s. I just love it. The weather is fabulous here.
I'm so glad. And, it's not always perfect in the winter. We had kind of a cold, wet winter this year, but at least, it wasn't too icy, didn't see a whole lot of snow. And I know, Bob, you came from a place where there was a good bit of that too. Welcome to you and your wife. So excited that you guys can be closer to her home, right?
True. It's hard to believe that we're here 7 months already, guys.
Yeah.
But me and my wife, Sue, love the upstate as well. And like Kylee, came from a very cold climate in central Illinois. So glad to be down here and not enduring the cold like they had that big outbreak a few weeks ago. So, of course, Kendra, you mentioned that people go into a flurry about the flurries here.
But we do.
Yeah, and of course we got that 2 inches over the weekend, and it was craziness. But we love the upstate, and Sue is from Elizabeth City, which is northeast North Carolina. So it's just a few hours drive, so just perfect for that. We love the climate and we love the area.
Well, I tell you, the upstate, it really sucks you in. You move here. Nicole and I, neither of us are from this area originally, and we've really loved it here. And we've been here quite some time now. So it's a great place to settle down and just build a life, that's for sure. And, all through our lives, I think as meteorologists, we have really been impacted by weather and really inspired by it. Because I know a lot of us obviously chose this as a job. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about how all of us dealt with severe weather, either growing up or covering it, starting with you, Nicole. Obviously tornadoes can have a big impact on us, and you've covered quite a bit since you've been here.
Yeah, I mean, the coverage has been just incredible. You think for an area that isn't in Tornado Alley, isn't in the Midwest, we actually do see our fair share of a lot of it. When I think about what my life was like, back growing up and how just inspirational weather can be and making this a piece of our lives forever. I was just telling someone about this before. When I was young, I was actually at a carnival at my church in the summer and maybe late spring. I can't remember the exact date, but we actually were on a Ferris wheel, my friend and I might have been 10 years old, and a tornado was coming. And over the PA system, someone must have gotten some alert. And over the PA system, they were like, everybody get into the basement. We had to go through the whole process of getting everybody off the rides. And being so young and seeing the trees whipping around and the branches falling and people just running, it really helped me see over time, maybe not in that moment, because we were kind of panicky at the moment, really, how important it is to get lead time on storms in severe season, because it was amazing. The tornado did not touch down in my hometown, but it touched down in the town over. So we were maybe 5 miles from where it was, hundreds of people outside. We had the lead time to get everyone down there into the basement and safe, even though it was a little dangerous outside already. And that really sticks out in my mind as something that helped me kind of get into that weather vibe and wonder, well, wait, who's watching all of this stuff and who's telling us these details? And I want to be a part of it. So it was scary, but a pivotal moment for sure.
Yeah. And I think that, you can really think about that kind of thing when I remember you and I together at 3:30 in the morning talking about the Seneca tornado. I mean, that, you think about being that person that can tell someone what they need to do at that very moment. And especially in a moment of panic, you really need to focus on what to do and how quickly there. And I think that drives a lot of us. How about you, Kylee? I know we've all had different experiences with all of this, but it can be, it's really inspiring to see how far severe weather coverage has come as well.
Absolutely. So the reason why I got into weather in the first place was because my dad relied on local meteorologists to tell him every day if it was going to rain or not because his job depended on it. And so I just wanted to be that voice too, to let people know. And as meteorologists, our job is to let you know what the weather is going to be that day, but also to protect life and property. And I think one huge severe moment for me is I covered severe thunderstorms, tornadoes. I covered a lot of different aspects of weather, but one really big thing that hits home to me is because I guess I should say is flooding, because last year we had a 500-year flood at my station at the time. It's Fox Carolina's sister station, TV5. We had a 500-year flood, and it was just in the midst of the pandemic. Everything was just unfolding at once. One of our downtowns were just completely submerged by water. So it's just, the power of water is just so crazy to think about. Just, a little bit of water can rush away a car or anything like that. So it's definitely very scary. And so covering that last year made me more aware that, tornadoes, severe thunderstorms are really dangerous in their own aspect, but so is flooding. So for me, it was just like that factor that really drove it home that this is my community. People live here. People are getting evacuated just because of that one weather event.
Well, and you're right. I mean, flooding isn't that thing that really, necessarily strikes fear in people's heart like a tornado does. But flooding, more people die because of flooding than tornadoes at any year. And I think that gives you great perspective going through an event like that. And I didn't realize it was a 500-year event. I was thinking it was a once every 100-year kind of flood event last year. That is crazy. I can't imagine living through that. We went through a big severe weather season in the pandemic, but to be flooded out in a pandemic must have just been crazy.
Yeah, it was awful. And it is a really crazy situation when every national network is there covering it. I was on the Weather Channel actually covering part of it as a local meteorologist point of view, just because this doesn't happen. And it was just so unreal that we received about 7 inches of rain in the matter of a few days. 2 dams ended up breaking. So it was just a disaster.
Oh, awful. Well, again, living through moments like that give you that perspective, and you can take it to bringing those warnings to viewers. And I know, Bob, you've had a lot of experience with severe weather, and it's really inspired you. And from even as a kid to now, tell us a little bit about your experiences.
Well, I grew up on Long Island in New York, and we had storms. We had hail and severe storms, but nothing to the extent of the Midwest. My first Midwest station was Springfield, Missouri, and we had our share of severe weather and tornadoes. I got there 2 years after Joplin. Joplin tornado flattened that poor city, and had experience there. And then I went to Decatur, Illinois, and also in Tornado Alley. And an interesting story from there, we had devastating tornadoes on December 1st. And you're thinking December 1st. And it was just so surreal because sun's going down around 4:25, 4:30, getting dark early. And I'm thinking, well, where's all this energy coming from for these tornadoes? And it was just so much shear in the atmosphere. It wasn't even, hardly any cape. I know I'm kind of getting in the weeds here as far as getting technical. Basically, these storms just sustain themselves through the evening and overnight just from the amount of shear and the energy they had. And, we had a couple big tornadoes and a couple fatalities. I guess the point is that it's December 1st and you think, okay, we're out of the woods. We're having our holiday Christmas parade. And we had to call that off because there's tornadoes coming. So they can happen any time of year. So you really have to be on guard. Obviously, it's not Tornado Alley here, but still,
Yeah.
like you said, last year was a tough year.
Yeah, and covering tornadoes can really hit home when you're tracking a storm that's affecting people and that just brings an extra sense of urgency and even better perspective to us, I think, as meteorologists. I covered the Seneca tornado that was near where my parents live, which was really difficult at that moment. It was surreal, no doubt, because we knew there was a tornado on the ground. We had that tornado debris signature. But not only was it that, it was 3:30 in the morning. So I was terrified for everyone who lived around Seneca. And then to add my parents into the mix, it was really a tough thing for me to cover. But it brings you a perspective of just how important it is. And there are a lot of people's parents in the track of these tornadoes, a lot of kids, a lot of anyone who. Everyone is important, and you want to make sure to bring them the best information you can. So I think that any of those personal experiences just kind of add to our perspective and I guess how much we care. I think all of us just want to get on and make sure that no one's scared too. You don't want anybody sitting there not knowing what to do. And that leads us to Severe Weather Awareness Week. We're spending all week long telling folks about what to expect, what the difference between certain meteorological terms is, like watch versus warning. That's one of the things Nicole's going to be talking about. So let's start with you, Nicole. Tell us a little bit about what you're covering, some of these stories you've done for severe weather awareness.
Yeah, so I focused on three main topics. One is the watch versus warning definitions and really what to do when these kinds of alerts are issued from the National Weather Service. So I'm going to go into a lot of detail about that during Severe Weather Awareness Week. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how you can get alerts for severe weather warnings, no matter where you are. You can be out biking, you can be in your car, you could be shopping, anywhere. I'm going to have a way for you to get alerts on the go. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about those weather enthusiasts out there. We do have people who are inspired by the weather and who want to get involved. There are ways that you can go through a very brief to actually be part of a weather network, both nationwide and here locally, to help with storm spotters and to measure rainfall and really be part of a network that can really help make forecasting more accurate. So I'll have a lot more on that.
Oh, that's going to be great. And I know that Kylee, you talked a good bit to the warning coordination meteorologist at National Weather Service about a lot of different topics as well. Tell us a little bit about what you've been digging up.
Yeah, so with my segments, I'm doing a few little ones, but one topic in specific I have is on flooding. We talk a lot about flooding here locally, and I will have more on that in one of my segments. Another segment is the SPC Outlook. So you may hear us from time to time in a local newscast saying we're under a marginal risk for severe weather, maybe a slight risk. Well, I detail out every single category. And so you will know what exactly we mean if we do say that we're under this type of threat for severe weather. And then in another segment, I am talking about surveying storm damage. So say, unfortunately, there was a tornado that ripped through portions of the upstate. Well, how does the National Weather Service go out and survey that storm? How can they conduct what type of EF rating it was? So I go into more detail about that.
That's great. And I think I love the fact we're going to be breaking down those different risks, because we talk about that so much in the spring and we try to explain it as a different level, but I think it's going to be great to go in depth on that. And Bob, I know that you pitched an idea to all of us that was really exciting we haven't done before, which is airport safety. You got to go talk to GSP International Airport.
Kendra, what I'm working on, three different things. First off, I went to GSP, went to the airport out there. Just so much fun, the energy of an airport, like you're going to travel. You have to watch out for the safety of the passengers, obviously, during severe weather. So I talked to them about that. Of course, another burden they have is COVID. So you have to watch out for COVID and severe weather. So I talked about that out there. Also, an emergency kit, what to have with you when you have to go in the event that something disastrous happens to your house or your surroundings, what you need to pack, what you need to have. I'll talk about that. And finally, I talked to Doug Bryson up in Spartanburg County, emergency manager there. He gave me the lowdown of what they do to get prepared for severe weather and kind of the aftermath as well.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting. Getting an emergency manager's perspective is always important with severe weather. My stories include how to stay safe at home. Did a little walkthrough actually in my own house just to kind of give you an idea of where to go, workplace safety. I also talked about 3 different weather phenomena. Well, actually 2 weather phenomena and 1 radar thingy that we use. I talk a little bit about microbursts. Those are something that a lot of folks hear about around here, might not quite know what they are. Hail. And also talked about debris detection. This is something that really helped us during the Seneca tornado, a tornado warning that hit around Cherrydale, around Greenville, during the month of April last year, kind of showing how the radar can actually see tornadoes. So really some unbelievable advances we've made in technology, things that we're excited to share with you coming up on Severe Weather Awareness Week. And be sure to email us if you have those weather questions. We want to hear about them, weather@foxcarolina.com, or you can email each of us individually. And we've got Facebook pages too, where you can make comments. But it's really been great to get all together as a team today to talk a little bit about severe weather. And we just hope everybody stays safe throughout the severe weather season. And if you have any ideas for a podcast topic for us, also shoot us an email if you can. Thank you, and see you guys later.
Bye.